Jonathan Toul Charignon, also known as Lafraudo, genius of the game and king of noobs, is known for hurting a ridiculous amount of speedrun kitties, along with being the worst pro gamer. If you watched my video Speedrun Kitty Explained, a story of realization, you'll know that Lafraudo has been caught upsetting speedrun kitties with his cheated scores and banning emulator on players page. This has been confirmed by Alex Panev, independent discussion in Lafraudo Free Zone, and recently by Dan Ocampo, who took Lafraudo apart in the SMK forums. He actually claimed the first place, which is obviously world record for a time he never had proof of. But something about the situation didn't sit right with me. 4 world records for this game have been submitted by the only moderator and approved by himself with no video proof whatsoever. In the Mushroom Cup, he admits that his in-game time is 12 seconds slower than the world record, but somehow he beats him anyway. How is this possible? Turns out this wasn't just a slip up in his modding career. This wasn't a kid in 2016 wanting recognition and lying about those 4 records. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Lafraudo has compulsively lied for a few years, claiming to have achieved an untold number of records which I can prove are fake. He got an imbecile that has no idea what he is saying but still wants to express himself, also known as the new world record holder, to be his own lapdog, and releasing the MKDD mod police to lie about witnessing scores he never had. Lafraudo has been caught entering his own scores into the speedrun.com database without verification. He's had multiple records wiped clean of mkworldrecords.com, and yet somehow this guy is still taken seriously. So let's get started. Let me show you how this man is the biggest cheater in history. Once I suspected there was more to this fake Frenchman, I started going to the SMK forums on speedrun.com. The best piece of information I received was from SMK legend Dan Ocampo. Here's some background information for Dan's knowledge of SMK. The current second place of the Mushroom Cup played a perfect run. He is even using MBT, new boosting techniques, which is really hard to do. In your runs you don't use MBT, so it is impossible for you to beat that time without using that strat. I also would like to have IL for this game. I don't see an issue at all with having our own IL leaderboard. I have read the answer you give to previous gamers requesting it, and it is basically that there are other leaderboards much bigger, and if we had our own, there would only be a couple of runs. So what? That is how everything begins, with a few runs, and this is a super classic game. I'm sure in less than a year a whole IL leaderboard will be full. There are only 20 tracks. I don't see a problem at all with just adding them. It'll just take such a little amount of time to just add it to the IL that people have requested since 2015. Obviously, after this devastating message, where there's no coming back from, you'd think that Lafraudo wouldn't reply, but he kept on digging his hole, saying the following: I'm not sure what you're saying in your 3rd paragraph. If you're implying that the times I have on the leaderboards are fake, then you're incorrect. He also added, as for moderation, there really isn't a need for more mods. So Lafraudo wants to be the lone ruler of SMK because he wants to keep his fake records on the leaderboards, stealing away the world record from KVD, who is even using MBT, which is really hard to do. Even the legendary Marth.sk came into the forum to address this obvious fraud. He messaged me the following, @Goomba. You know who else was defended with the same "if you think he's faking it, if you question his performance, you're an idiot" rhetoric? Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell. Jeez, I wonder what became of them lately. To hide my true intentions and get insider information, I had to painfully defend Lafraudo. I added to it with my condescending facade and trying to meme on him with my snafu. After responding that the Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell case that was popular on Apollo Legends channel had nothing to do with this, Marth.sk came with the response I was fearing. Is AL really your only reference point in that whole snafu? Well, whatever the case, I'll say that you're right. It's not the fact that this dude made videos about those other 2 Twin Galaxy guys that makes this specific situation the same. It's the fact that Lafraudo didn't provide reasonable evidence while in the position of power, which is exactly the same situation as when Mr. Human Element himself entered his own scores in the Twin Galaxy leaderboards, with a referee as the verification method. So you're absolutely right. AL's videos have nothing to do with this situation. Hell, I don't even know why you brought AL into this, dude. What are you saying? Perhaps as an attempt to discredit my point? Be that as it may, being in a position of authority and entering your own scores without providing reasonable evidence has everything to do with my point. AL is irrelevant. Try to meme on that now. Of course, the fact that there's proof for Todd and Billy cheating, and not for this specific Lafraudo's case, that doesn't matter. I got called out on all fronts. My snafu, suddenly naming Apollo Legend out of the blue and trying to meme on him. How was I supposed to respond? In the meantime, Dan Ocampo was making quick work of me as well. He said that he knows those times aren't particularly hard to beat. I mean, he did say the current second place of the Mushroom Cup played a perfect run. He is even using MBT, new boosting techniques, which is really, really hard to do. But you know, he didn't mean that. He also started explaining who KVD is when Lapdog Danger Mole joined the conversation, obliterating his claim that no very top player has ever submitted decent one-player GP times to this site. Like Dan said, let's just keep in mind that this run, which should be by far first, is done by none other than Karel van Duivenbode, and that he could say exactly what those records are, and in which tracks, and the exact times. He even uses MBT, new boosting techniques, which was just discovered a few years ago, and now KVD did it all 5 tracks perfectly. Luckily Mole didn't know who Karel is, as he only had met him many times and is a mod in his Twitch channel. Then the man himself showed up, and even though he took the blame away from Lafraudo about his way of setting up the leaderboards, and did agree with the Lapdog, my condescending facade, and even Lafraudo that one player is not competitive, and said that the times without video proof aren't a big deal, and that Lafraudo is trusted, we can still conclude that Lafraudo is a big cheap man thanks to this picture that got posted. Oh my god, he got a 747. We were all wrong. This guy is really that good. Until now, as I will expose him by showing that he photoshopped this image. Hey everyone, it's your boy Gambi, and you can see this picture of definitely Lafraudo here with the 747, as we all can see now. Let me prove to you that this is fake. So obviously I've hacked the file, and I now have access to the whole Photoshop file, right? So I just disabled. Look, this is just, you would never like understand this is actually fake if you didn't have this file, because it looks so good, you know. But in all reality, it is of course a reference that he was pointing, you know, like, hey, that's the video, you know, the fantastic taste the man has. But yeah, obviously, fake time, definitely not, definitely not, like, there's no. So that's the end of that, I guess. Lafraudo has been completely discredited, but in classic Lafraudo fashion, he's taken this wait, is that a video? So, what do you guys think? Should I see how far this rabbit hole goes, or has this been enough? Please let me know in the comments. Until next time, peace.